The sky breaks, the night was silent. Over the city, only the normal lights of airplanes and stars moved across the dark sky. People walked on streets, some looking down at their phones, some laughing with friends, never knowing that history was about to change. At first, it was only a shimmer. A strange flicker above the clouds, like glass cracking in water. A young boy sitting on his apartment balcony saw it first. He rubbed his eyes and thought it was only his imagination. But then the flicker widened. The stars behind it seemed to bend, as if something heavy was pressing against the sky itself. More people noticed. A group of taxi drivers stopped their cars and stared upward. In villages far from the city, farmers paused their work and pointed at the heavens. Dogs barked and howled, birds broke into sudden flight, and silence spread through every neighborhood. The shimmer stretched, and then it split. The sky itself looked as if it had torn apart. A long, burning crack ran across the heavens, glowing like fire beneath the surface of glass. Gasps filled the streets. Panic rose as people screamed, thinking it was the end of the world. From the torn sky, shadows moved. Gigantic shapes pressed forward, darker than night. At first, no one could understand what they were. Some thought meteors, some thought angels or demons. But then the shapes grew sharper. They had edges, towers, and glowing lights. They were ships, alien ships. In orbit, far above Earth, an enemy fleet watched in silence. These were the invaders who had believed Earth to be weak, unprepared. A planet of simple people with no real power. They had come ready to conquer, expecting no fight. For years they had studied Earth, seen only the surface technology, and thought humanity easy prey. Their warlords now leaned forward, eyes fixed on the sky tearing open. But what came next made even the aliens afraid. From behind the crack, something else pushed through. Not alien ships, but massive human war fleets. Rows upon rows of metal giants emerged, their hulls shining with cold steel. They were larger than anything the citizens of Earth had ever seen. Not airplanes, not rockets. Warships. Warships built for space. The crowd on the ground could hardly breathe. Some dropped to their knees in fear. Others raised their phones, recording shaky videos. The internet exploded with millions of live streams, messages, and desperate questions. What is happening? What are those ships? Where did they come from? Above them, humanity's secret finally revealed itself. For decades, people had believed Earth was small compared to the galaxy. The governments had spoken of peace, of exploration, of being new and weak among the stars. But the truth was different. Hidden in silence, humanity had been building. They had been preparing. And now the skies opened to show the truth, an armada that no one had ever expected. The alien commanders shouted in panic. Their fleets began to move into battle positions. One alien captain screamed that this was impossible, that humans were not supposed to have such power. Yet before their very eyes, ship after ship rolled out of the glowing crack in the sky, like soldiers marching from the gates of a fortress. On Earth, the fear turned into something else. Wonder, pride. A young girl standing on her rooftop whispered, "They are ours." An old soldier retired long ago saluted the sky with trembling hands. Families held each other tightly, feeling something they could not name. It was not only fear anymore. It was the weight of history breaking open above them. The largest of the ships broke through the sky last. It was longer than a city. Its surface carried scars of old battles that no human on Earth remembered. Lights shone across its sides, outlining weapons and shields never seen before. Slowly, the ship turned, and every alien watching knew at once it was a flagship. Inside that flagship, a human commander stood on the bridge. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with fire. Around him, officers worked in silence, pressing controls, running systems, activating weapons. The commander spoke only one line, his voice cold, but it carried across the entire fleet. "Earth rises." The words echoed. Across every ship, men and women repeated them. And below, though they did not hear his voice, the people of Earth felt the meaning. Something had awakened, something hidden. The aliens fired first. Beams of red light shot from orbit, crashing against the human fleet. Explosions lit the sky, shaking the clouds. But when the smoke cleared, the human ships still stood, their shields glowing. The attack had failed. For the first time, the galaxy would learn what humanity had been hiding. The torn sky glowed brighter. More ships continued to emerge, their weapons pointing outward, ready to answer. The people of Earth, still frozen in shock, realized that tonight was not only the night the sky broke. Tonight was the night the truth could no longer be hidden. And in the silence before the next shot, a terrible question echoed through every mind, human and alien alike. If Earth could hide a fleet like this, what else were they hiding? The night no longer belonged to the stars. It belonged to humanity. The hidden Armada, the first attack had failed. Alien beams had crashed against the human fleet, but the warships did not fall. Their shields burned bright like walls of light holding back the storm. On Earth, people screamed, prayed, and clutched their loved ones, but they could not look away. The sky had become a battlefield, and humanity was not losing. In orbit, alien commanders shouted across their channels. Confusion spread like fire. Their scouts had sworn that Earth was weak, a world with little defense. Yet before them stood thousands of ships, each one a monster of steel. Where did they come from? One alien captain demanded. How could the humans build this in silence? The answer lay far below, hidden in the oceans, deserts, and mountains of Earth. For years, humanity had been building its secret. Beneath the ice of Antarctica, massive hangars had been carved deep enough to hide entire fleets. In the endless deserts, sand had covered the gates of underground bases where engineers worked without rest. And in the deep seas, far below the surface where no satellite dared to scan, shipyards thrived in silence. Now the hidden gates opened. In the Pacific Ocean, waves exploded upward as a warship rose from the water, glowing with power. From the Sahara Desert, sandstorms erupted as massive doors split apart, revealing more ships rising into the sky. Across frozen Antarctica, the ground trembled, ice breaking apart as another fleet lifted into the heavens. The people of Earth watched in shock. They had never known what their governments had hidden. Some cried out, asking why no one had told them. Others cheered, feeling something like pride rising in their hearts. The truth was finally revealed. Earth had never been helpless. On the alien side, panic turned to fear. Their fleets had expected a small fight, something short, a simple conquest. But the numbers kept growing. For every alien ship, 3 human warships appeared. And the human ships were not only many, they were strong. Their armor was dark and sharp, their weapons glowing with energy no alien had seen before. Inside the flagship, the human commander stood tall. His officers read reports aloud. More fleets leaving the oceans, more hangars opening, more soldiers ready. The commander nodded, calm as if this had always been expected. "All wings, prepare for combat," he ordered. "This is the day we rise from silence." The enemy tried again. Alien bombers flew forward, their weapons spitting fire. The first human squadrons moved to meet them. Small but fast ships darted into formation, their engines glowing blue. They spun and weaved, dodging fire, and then released their own weapons. Bright streaks of energy shot forward, tearing alien bombers apart one by one. Explosions lit the blackness of space. On Earth, children pointed at the sky and cheered. Old men who had fought in wars long ago whispered that they had never seen anything like it. Humanity was fighting not as prey but as hunters. Still, questions filled the air. How had humans built this armada? How had they hidden it for so long? The people had no answers. Only the commander and his closest circle knew the full truth. The plan had begun long ago, after humanity's first contact with alien life. That first meeting had not been peace. It had been betrayal. The galaxy had smiled at humans while preparing to conquer them. And so humanity had sworn never again to show weakness. Generations had worked in secret. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers, all chosen, all sworn to silence. They had built fleets not for display but for survival. Now survival had turned into power. The alien commanders began to shout retreat orders, but it was too late. The human fleet spread wide, blocking every escape route. Warships larger than cities moved into position, weapons charging. For the first time, the galaxy realized Earth was not a quiet world. It was a fortress. Yet the commander's face stayed cold. He knew this was only the beginning. The enemy fleet above Earth was only a scout force, a small piece of the true threat. Somewhere beyond the stars, greater powers watched. If they learned the truth too soon, the war would not end here. It would spread to every corner of the galaxy. On Earth, fear turned into something new. Hope. People no longer cried out in terror. They shouted in awe. Some waved flags from rooftops, some lit fires, and some simply stared with wide eyes. They felt something they had never felt before, that humanity was greater than anyone had believed. The alien fleet tried to regroup, Their warlord, a creature with cold red eyes, shouted to his soldiers, "Do not run! Crush them before more arrive." But even as he spoke, another gate opened. This time, not from Earth, but from the torn sky itself. A ripple spread across the stars, and out of it came another line of human ships. The warlord's voice faltered. He knew what this meant. Humanity had not only hidden ships on Earth, they had hidden them across the void, in places the galaxy had never dared to look. The commander on the flagship stared at the enemy fleet. His eyes narrowed.
"They thought we were weak," he whispered.
"They thought we were blind." His hand raised and a single word fell from his lips. Fire. The order raced across the Armada. In one voice, the hidden fleet answered. Weapons lit, energy surged, and the sky above Earth became a storm of fire and light. The night that had begun in fear now burned with a new truth. Humanity was not hiding anymore. Humanity had arrived. The first clash, the order had been given. Fire. For one heartbeat, the galaxy held its breath. Then the skies erupted. Human warships unleashed their fury. Beams of white-hot light cut through the dark. Missiles burst forward, moving so fast they looked like falling stars. Alien ships tried to dodge, but the human weapons followed them like hunters chasing prey. The first alien cruiser exploded, its fragments burning as they fell through Earth's atmosphere. On the ground, people screamed as fireballs lit the sky. Some thought pieces of the moon were falling. Others shouted in disbelief. Humanity was fighting the invaders and winning. The alien fleet struck back. Their cannons roared, red fire sweeping across the void. Dozens of beams slammed into human shields, bending them, cracking them, testing their strength. For a moment, the human armada shook under the pressure. Smaller ships twisted and spun, some caught in explosions. But they did not fall apart as the aliens expected. The shields reformed. The formations tightened. From the flagship, the commander watched every move. His voice was calm as he gave orders. Delta Wing, cut left. Beta Squadron, close the gap. Do not break the line. His officers moved quickly, their hands racing over controls, their eyes locked on the battle. Humanity fought like a single mind. The aliens had always believed humans were chaotic, disorganized, a species too divided to stand together. But here in the cold fire of war, the truth burned brighter. Every ship followed its order. Every squadron moved like a living machine. There was no hesitation, no fear. One alien captain screamed over his comms, "They are not fighting like humans. They are fighting like us, like a fleet bred for war." But his words ended in static as his ship was torn apart by a burst of human missiles. In the skies above Earth, the first clash turned brutal. Squadrons of small human fighters swarmed the alien bombers, cutting through them with precision strikes. Alien cruisers, larger and more powerful, turned their weapons on the human flagship, hoping to break the heart of the fleet. But the flagship did not stand alone. Two heavy destroyers moved in front of it, their hulls glowing as they absorbed the fire. They burned, their shields cracking, but they held the line. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Protect the flagship. No one gets through." The aliens tried to change tactics. They spread wide, circling Earth, hoping to attack from multiple angles. But they underestimated humanity again. From the oceans and deserts below, more hidden ships rose into the sky, blocking the escape routes, pushing the enemy back into the trap. The battlefield became chaos, explosions, fire, wreckage, spinning in zero gravity. Every minute more alien ships fell. But humanity did not escape untouched. On the ground, families cried as they saw human warships breaking apart, vanishing into fire. Soldiers inside the fleet died silently, their names unknown to the crowds below. It was not an easy victory. It was sacrifice. Yet even in sacrifice, humans fought harder. In one corner of the battle, an alien battleship fired a weapon that ripped through 3 human destroyers at once. The void glowed red with their deaths. The alien crew roared in triumph, until the battleship itself was surrounded by 7 human frigates. They attacked from every side, their weapons tearing it apart until it split in 2. The balance of power shifted. The alien fleet was bleeding, their numbers falling. Fear spread through their lines. For the first time in centuries, these warlords who had crushed so many worlds felt doubt. On Earth, the crowd of billions felt something change too. Their fear began to fade. Their voices rose. They shouted, cheered, and cried out words they had never believed they would say. "Fight, humans, fight." The aliens could hear it in their comms. The roar of humanity rising, a sound like thunder from the ground. And in that sound they understood something terrifying. Humans were not only fighting with ships, they were fighting with spirit. Still, the enemy warlord refused to surrender. His cold red eyes burned as he gave his final order. All forces charge. We will drown them in fire. The alien fleet surged forward in desperation, pouring everything they had into one last assault. The skies lit with fire so bright it turned night into day. Explosions shook the atmosphere, rattling windows across Earth. The people cried out in terror, thinking the planet itself might be torn apart. But the commander was waiting for this moment. His eyes were sharp, his voice steady. "Now," he said. Across the Armada, human ships shifted formation. Hidden weapons that had not yet fired came alive. Massive cannons, long spears of energy, and storm-like missile barrages. For the first time, the aliens saw the full power of Earth's arsenal. The clash became slaughter. Alien ships fell one after another, their formations breaking, their captains screaming into empty channels. The humans pressed forward, not letting a single enemy escape. And when the last alien cruiser finally exploded, silence fell. The people of Earth looked up at the sky, still torn, still glowing, but now filled with human warships standing tall. They had survived the first clash. Humanity had not been conquered. Humanity had defended its home. But as the commander stared at the wreckage, his face did not soften. He knew this was not the end. The enemy had been only a scout fleet, a test. Somewhere in the galaxy, greater armadas were waiting. And now they knew Earth was not weak. The first clash was over. The true war had only begun. The secret revealed, the battle was over, but the sky still glowed with fire. Pieces of alien ships drifted across orbit like burning ash. Earth had survived the first clash, yet silence now felt heavier than the sound of war. The people below looked upward, waiting for answers. Who had commanded this armada? Why had their governments hidden such power for so long? On the flagship, the commander stood at the center of the bridge. His officers whispered reports. Enemy ships destroyed, losses counted, shields holding at 70%. He did not speak for a long time. He only stared at the wreckage, his eyes sharp as if he were listening to ghosts. Finally, he turned to his officers. "The people will want to know," one of them said softly. The commander nodded. He understood. Secrets could no longer stay buried. The galaxy had seen too much. And the people of Earth, who had cried in terror just hours ago, deserved the truth. So the truth began. Long ago, before the world had known aliens existed, there had been a first contact. It was not peaceful. A small fleet of strangers had come, smiling with false promises, offering technology and friendship. But behind their gifts hid chains. They had planned to take Earth, to strip its oceans, to enslave its people. Humanity had fought back with what little it had: primitive rockets, fragile satellites, crude weapons compared to the galaxy. But the invaders had underestimated the spirit of humans. The fight had been brutal, silent, and hidden from the public. Many had died, and their names were erased from history. Governments told the people it had been accidents in space exploration, disasters, test failures. But it was war, a war Earth could not afford to lose. When the smoke cleared, humanity had won, not by strength but by cunning. They captured enemy ships, studied alien technology, and swore a vow. Never again would they be caught unprepared. From that day, a secret plan was born. Across the decades, hidden under oceans, deserts, mountains, and even deep in orbit, humanity built its armada. Scientists worked in silence. Engineers vanished from public life, soldiers trained in shadows. Generations sacrificed their lives without recognition. Fathers died without their children knowing why. Mothers disappeared from families, their work buried in secrecy, all for one purpose: survival. Now the people of Earth learned this truth. Broadcasts leaked from the flagship, voices carried through every channel. The commander's face appeared on screens, calm and stern. His words echoed across cities and villages alike. "People of Earth," he said, "you are not weak. For years the galaxy believed us fragile. They believed us helpless. That lie ends tonight. What you see in the sky is not a miracle. It is the work of your fathers, your mothers, your ancestors, who gave everything so that humanity could rise." Crowds stood frozen, listening. Some wept, some fell to their knees. Others clenched their fists in pride. The commander continued, "The enemy you saw tonight is not the greatest danger. They are only scouts. More will come. Stronger fleets will rise against us, and when they do, we must stand as one world. Not divided by nations, not broken by fear. We are humanity, and we will not kneel. The words spread like fire. On social networks, in streets, in hidden bunkers, people repeated them. We are humanity. We will not kneel. The aliens who still listened to the transmissions felt a chill. This was no weak prey speaking. This was a predator rising. But behind the commander's words lay shadows even deeper. There were truths he had not spoken aloud, truths only a handful of humans knew. The hidden bases were not the only secret. Humanity had not only learned from alien technology, they had surpassed it. Some of the weapons now shining in the fleet had no alien origin at all. They were human inventions born of human imagination, sharper and deadlier than anything the galaxy had seen. And there was more. Whispers in the command chambers spoke of another fleet, not yet revealed, hidden far from Earth. Ships built not for defense, but for invasion. Ships waiting for the day when humanity would not only defend its home, but step into the stars to claim its place. The people did not know this part. The galaxy did not either. But the commander did. And in the silence of the bridge, he carried that weight alone. Down on Earth, the people celebrated. Fireworks lit the skies in some cities, though their colors mixed with the glow of burning wreckage still falling from orbit. In other places, silence ruled. Families staring upward, unsure whether to feel pride or fear. Children drew pictures of the warships. Old men whispered prayers. Young voices shouted for unity. But not all hearts were calm. Some feared the secret had been too costly. They lied to us, a woman shouted in a crowded street. For years they hid this from us. How many lives did they steal? How many families were broken? Others argued back, they saved us. Without them, we would all be slaves tonight. The truth cut both ways. The hidden Armada was a miracle, but also a scar. Above them, the commander returned to silence. He knew his words had given hope, but he also knew hope was fragile. The galaxy was watching now. The next war would be larger, darker, merciless, and Earth's secret was no longer safe. On the horizon of the galaxy, other fleets stirred. Other empires whispered. The humans had revealed themselves, and the stars would never be the same. The secret was out. Humanity had risen from the shadows, and somewhere in the dark the galaxy trembled. The galaxy trembles. The battle above Earth was silent now. Wreckage drifted through the void, the remains of alien cruisers burning like falling stars. The human fleet stood strong, engines glowing, weapons armed, shields flickering but unbroken. On the ground, people cheered in the streets. They hugged each other, cried, and lifted their voices. For the first time in living memory, humanity had faced the galaxy, and humanity had not fallen. But far beyond Earth, in the deep reaches of space, others were watching. The transmission of the battle had spread faster than light. Hidden probes, secret satellites, and alien watchers had recorded everything. In the grand halls of distant empires, in Cold War chambers lit by strange suns, leaders gathered around glowing screens. They saw the torn sky, the hidden Armada, the impossible victory, and their hearts trembled. For centuries, the galaxy had believed Earth to be weak, a backwater world, a child among giants. But tonight the illusion was gone. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had revealed a fleet strong enough to break invaders. On one world, a council of alien elders sat in silence. How did we not see this? One whispered. How did they build such power in shadows? Another shook his head. This is not natural. No species rises so quickly without help. Suspicion filled the room. Some believed humanity had stolen forbidden weapons. Others feared something worse, that humans had built it all by themselves. On another world, an empire of warlords roared in anger. Their fleets had crushed dozens of civilizations, burned planets to ash, and enslaved races without mercy. Now they had seen their scouts destroyed by Earth. Their pride could not accept defeat. Already they prepared their armadas, greater and darker than the one Earth had faced. And in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, hidden powers whispered. They had always waited for humanity to reveal itself. Now the waiting was over. Back on the flagship, the commander stood with his officers. Reports came in. Victory confirmed, enemy ships destroyed. But his face remained cold. He knew what came next, sir, an officer said quietly. The galaxy has seen us now. They will not ignore us. They will come. The commander nodded. Then let them come. His voice was low but firm. We hid for generations. We prepared for this. We will not kneel. Not to them. Not to anyone. The officers saluted, their eyes hard. They understood. The battle for Earth was not the end, it was the beginning. On Earth, the people began to argue about the future. Some shouted for peace, for hiding again, for avoiding more war. Others demanded expansion, to strike before the galaxy could strike back. The world was no longer divided by nations, but united by fear and hope. Children dreamed of joining the fleet. Old soldiers felt their hearts burn with pride. But everyone knew one truth. Earth had stepped onto a larger stage and there was no going back. That night, while the skies still glowed with wreckage, a new broadcast went out. It was not for Earth alone. It was sent across the stars into every channel, every signal, every corner of the galaxy. The commander's voice echoed, "To all who watch. To all who doubt. To all who plan to invade. We are humanity. We are not prey. We are not weak. We are the storm you feared would come, and we are here." The words shook across the galaxy. Some listened in fear, some in anger, some in awe. Civilizations whispered to one another, "The humans have risen. The humans are coming." In distant skies, fleets began to move. Some prepared for war, others prepared to beg for alliance. But none could ignore the truth. The galaxy trembled, and above Earth the human armada turned outward. Engines burned, weapons gleamed, and the flagship led the way into the stars. For the first time in history, humanity was not looking up in fear. Humanity was rising, ready to fight, ready to claim its place. The night the skies tore apart was not the end of the story. It was the first page. The galaxy had woken to a new power, and nothing would ever be the same again.